Moffat, you two came in and took over as showrunners, and the end of season 1 ended on a cliffhanger. So after losing characters, or actually having characters cut back like Creek and Rev,
Yes.
did that change anything about the direction for season 2?
Sure, it opened us up to new characters, new storylines. We still wanted to service the things that were set up at the end of the season, like the trickling of demon residue from Manfred's ear and the hotel being open, but it really allowed us to brainstorm how do we bring in new people to Midnight and new big bads, and gave us a little more room.
Are you setting anything up in season 2 for possible season 3?
Oh yes.
Moving it, so
yeah,
would
we're
you
actually
really
just
pay
shooting
more
that. We're shooting
attention?
that today. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Well, I mean, the ending, or just, but basically, like throughout the season or throughout the episodes.
I mean, well, after we kind of vanquished the big bad of this season, we kind of set up something for next season. So and set up storylines for each of the characters for potential directions for next season.
Any hints?
Well, just doesn't go very well for anyone. It goes
The
well.
Midnighters have the worst luck on the planet. Let's just put it that way. So.
How integral is the first season for fans who are going to watch season 2? Come in fresh?
I think you can come in fresh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, like Nicole said, we inherited 2 hanging chads from last season. Manfred being possessed by 6 demons in order to vanquish Kolkanar. That will have some residual effect this season, but you didn't have to watch last season in order to understand what's happening. And then also the opening of the hotel, which is just, which was taken from the book, but we expanded on it for this season.
I was going to ask, what is it that you're taking perhaps like little nuggets from the book, because there is a trilogy.
Yes.
You know, how is it taking things like that and then either expanding upon them or changing them slightly, because the hotel storyline is quite different from the books.
Yeah, we got a lot of inspiration from the books in terms of characters, in terms of tone and atmosphere, but just the idea of a hotel opening was about all we took from the books. We really just wanted to be creative and be out there, and we felt like we used a lot of story from the books season 1, and we just started from scratch.
Yeah, and in the finale last year, we hint that there are ghosts in the hotel, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. You know, they wish it was only haunted, so there's a lot more going on.
It was important for us to kind of subvert expectations. It's like Eric said, you set it up, you think it's a haunting, but we're like, so much worse than ghosts. They, as you say, only wish they were ghosts.
When Charlene sees your variations and all, does she go, wow, how did I think of that? Or do you hear from her?
She gave us her blessing. She was really lovely. We met her over the phone in March or April, and she just said, I do the books, you do the show, I enjoy watching, how about it?
She was really gracious and said it's your baby now, and she really didn't want to know anything about the season because she wanted to watch as a fan. So,
as you push the envelope, do you find the network being supportive of getting more graphic, to get more daring? Because you look at a show like Animal or something where everybody can watch and go, oh my God, how did they do that on TV?
yeah,
So
I mean, we really, it was a marching order, and I think we delivered in spades. We really pushed the envelope just in regards to relationships and sex appeal and gore and scares. So it's a mixed bag, but it's pretty risque.
How do you feel about moving to Friday nights?
I think Friday nights is great for genre programming. Honestly, I think it's a perfect fit for us, so we're excited.
Well,
Yes.
There's the whole Grimm thing too, but and then X-Files used to be on Friday nights.
Yes.
And so it is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
So the question is, one of the questions I asked you to comment on, but it sounds to me, and your answer was not kind of consistent with what you're doing now, and it's a good thing, because it looks to me like you got this 9-season thing, but it's leading to something else, and so you have you got that mapped out season 3? Because clearly we want to see season 3, so you don't have to ask us. So.
Right. I mean, I think we certainly wrap up season 2 in a very satisfying way and put that to bed, so to speak. And we just kind of opened up a whole new can of worms for season 3 by the end of episode 9 of season 2. So you'll definitely get a clear direction in regards to where the show's going in the finale.
But all right, so the bigger question is, okay, we give you get season 3. Do you have that mapped out? Please tell us you have that mapped out.
Of course we do. Yeah.
What we saw was so good. We really, and when we talked to the actors, I mean, they're excited, and you can tell that they're really into the the writing has been really good, and they're enjoying it. So we're looking at season 3 now. Okay.
Oh yeah, we're ready. Bring it.
So
Bring it.
when does NBC give you the marching orders? How does that work?
Like in regards to season 3?
Yeah, like what does it take for them to decide, in terms of how much audience or how long or what period?
I mean, that's honestly above my pay grade. I think they have to wait until season 2 premieres, and hopefully we can get a swift season 3.
Yes.
Can you talk about kind of like the ratio this year between mythology and kind of weekly story? Is it kind of a balance again?
It's interesting. I think it was definitely more Monster of the Week last season. This year is heavy mythology. There's mythology unfolds in every single episode. As Eric said, it's much more serialized. But we wove in a Monster of the Week here and there.
I mean, there are definitely close-ended elements for each episode, but every episode does not have a Monster of the Week.
Well, Nicole, you've written some really great episodes on Supernatural. So,
With
and
you as
also,
well.
yeah, and also, so are you planning on doing more writing, even though you're you're co-showrunners?
Yeah, we wrote this season premiere and the finale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's something really exciting to look for, because your stories have been like one of the best in the seasons of Supernatural that's gone in,
Oh,
from like
thank you.
2008 to
Thank you.
12 or something like that. So.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
I
it's
think
kind of
what
exciting to see you guys going back and using that again.
Well, thanks. And I think what we learned from Supernatural was really how to weave together scares and humor, and we really tried to bring that to the show this season. Like, it's definitely ironic, but it's really scary, and it's funny, and it's sexy. So,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're going to do those kind of like genre references that Supernatural is absolutely famous for. And those, I mean, that's how people really talk.
Right.
So are you going to, weave in some of those kind of things too?
like self-deprecating references, or?
But the genre references, where they, it's kind of like genre speak.
Can you excuse
beating up
us for
stuff.
1 second? I'm so
Okay,
sorry.
go
We're
ahead.
getting a question from Seth.
Sure. Sorry.
Sorry.
It's like beating up Scotty. That's that's in the vernacular now, right? So
Yes.
something like that. So
I mean, we definitely play within the tropes of horror genre, so we don't necessarily take lines from other shows, but certainly we play within the tropes.
Do you have certain things you have in your mind that, I'd like to work that in, or get a Minotaur, or whatever?
Yeah, I mean,
100%.
yeah.
100%.
I've always wanted to incorporate a Cyclops into something. It hasn't happened yet, but maybe season 3.
And you, what's your pick
Oh
of?
my God. Well, I won't give it away, but I will just tease it that in the finale, I got to reference a beloved show, and now it's coming to fruition. We were getting some fun jokes in
Yeah,
there.
for sure.
Well, piggybacking on his, what show would you like to see a crossover with Midnight?
God. Dynasty?
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Dynasty.
I'm
Ghost
on
of
board with
JR.
that, yeah. Well, Joan Collins is on Apocalypse, so maybe she'll do Midnight next season.
You just bring them back as zombies,
Yes.
You could
or
have
as
they're witches.
That's right, Rob.
or witches, yeah.
The total tangent question, with Monica leaving the show, obviously, just curious what your reaction was and what you think she'll bring to Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh my God, she'll kill
She'll
it.
be-
She will slay it.
Yes,
Make
she
sure.
will. Yeah.
She will.
I think she's so talented, and I adore her, and I think that she can do anything. So I'm a fan.
You guys have about 5 minutes. Can you talk a little bit more about the threat among the Midnighters that you teased at Comic-Con?
I mean, the only thing I'll say is, like last season, obviously the threat was lurking under the streets of midnight, and this season, the threat is weaving their self amongst the Midnighters, and I think the big objective for our townsfolk this season is to decide who is friend and who is foe.
Do you have a list of guest star actors that you want to get in that you got most of them in, or there are ones that are left over that will then shift over to season 3? Or?
We made a
Yeah.
dream list and we got really
Yeah,
lucky.
I mean-
and I don't think we're allowed to announce any of them.
Right.
Oh.
But I mean, Nestor was, I mean,
I
we
mean,
worked
it
with
started
Nestor on
with Nestor.
Winger, and we tend to recycle actors a lot because we like them and we like working with them and we like having histories with people. So bringing Nestor on board was fantastic. We honestly didn't think we could afford them. So.
And can I ask? Maybe I'll whisper it in your ear for that.
Well, we're trying to get here.
I mean,
Are you allowed or aren't you
I don't
allowed?
want to get in trouble, but we are also, as Eric said, Nestor, we work with Thunbringer. We also work with Jamie Murray from Dexter, and she is joining our cast as well, so we're really excited.
Oh, a fifth next spot.
She's pretty amazing.
She plays a very integral role this
Yeah, I
season.
think we were talking, that was being brought up, and they weren't sure whether they could say.
That was released then?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you received those marching orders from NBC for Sexier, Soapier, and True Blood, what kind of steps did you take to make that work, and how do you guys see your show in relation to True Blood?
It's definitely in the same multiverse. I mean, obviously one was a cable show and one is broadcast TV, so ironically we shot the pilot as if it were cable, and then the S&P came hammering down on us when we delivered the first cut. So there was a lot of obscuring going on.
Not the pilot, but the first
Sorry,
episode.
the 201, episode 201. I think we just tried to push the envelope as much as we could, but it's definitely the same multiverse as True Blood.
We had Bobo by the cartoon saloon, so it kind of felt like Merlot's. We wanted it to be a regular set.
Watering hole for the Midnighters and one baby.
So if you have something that pushes the envelope and they are a little, is it somewhere, it can be brought back in a streaming scenario, or it's
Possibly, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like
It
they
looks really
did with
good.
DVDs. You know?
Yeah.
we have a sexy cast, so you want to see them.
If there is kind of a shared universe with the books that True Blood is based on, there's one character that's in both series that is a fan favorite of the readers, which is Quinn. How familiar are you with that character, and is there any likelihood that he could ever be introduced at some point?
Could be. He's not this season, but could be. Obviously a favorite of yours, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I just figured with the logistics, like with there already being one were-tiger who's no longer a part
Right.
of it, if
Yeah.
it would be feasible
Right.
at some point in time to. I think that was part of the problem, was they weren't sure how they could realistically depict that
Right.
character.
And it's funny because there are also rights issues with the books versus the show, so depending on that, you're allowed to use some characters and not others. So, yeah.
During the time that you're waiting to see NBC's response, are there things that you're told to do, or you think you will do or can do that, prepping? I mean, obviously we've talked about a little bit about storylines and things. There are other things?
You mean for next season?
Yeah, like within let's hoping with anticipation, you know.
I think the wrap up of season 2, as we're filming the finale now, gets us excited to start talking about where we can go, because the end of the finale, Act 6, is all set up, and how do we build upon that? And while we're on set, we've been talking every day about, we could do this, and so yes, we're working on it. The second we get the green light.
Did you get picked up for 9, or did you fight for the limited season?
We got picked up for 9.
Would you have wanted more episodes?
Like, unless you have like a franchise where it's a case of the week, I think if you're doing a serialized show, it's really challenging to have to do more than 9 or 10.
In some of our interviews, the actors mentioned about the freedom they had to sort of evolve the characters and input and all that. Some of them had relations with you, so you guys, how is the process of consulting with the actors, especially the ones that were there with season 1?
I mean, it's been great. It's incredibly collaborative, you know? I mean, Nicole and I, we tend to write things, but it's never gospel. Like, we want actors' input, and we want them to have some ownership over it. So it's 100% collaborative.
And this is a dream cast.
Yeah.
Everyone is really talented, everyone is really respectful, and I think everybody's having a good time, because it shows in their work, so.
Is there an idea that somebody brought in that you were just like kind of wowed by, either from the cast or the crew, that you didn't come up with?
Always.
Yeah.
It's 100% a collaborative process, as Eric said, in terms of our writing staff, our crew, our actors. Everybody has thoughts and ideas, and because everybody's thinking about it, and again, they're excited about it. So there's passion behind it, and yes, we're not the only one with the ideas by a long shot.
Bobo wants a cowboy hat.
Bobo wants a cowboy hat.
He wants to wear a cowboy hat.
But Walker wears the cowboy hat. They can share it.
How did you build your writers? Like, were you looking for a particular style from your writers?
I mean, we certainly wanted people with genre experience, with soap experience.
We wanted diversity in
diversity.
the room. It was important. We wanted people we worked with before who we had a shorthand with.
And
We
we
got lucky.
promoted a lot of assistants too,
Yeah.
honestly. So we like to promote from within and give people a shot.
So it sounds like you had pretty much everybody available to you guys when you wanted them to be available.
It was good timing.
Yeah, it was.
We got lucky.
Yeah, because we got picked up in January, I think. So the pilots hadn't been shot and they weren't staffing. So people who weren't staffed on shows and who were available, we had, a chance to give them a job. So it was nice.
So what are your plans the day after it's over? I mean, you have a restaurant you're going
I'm going to
a
Cabo.
party where you what?
I'm going to Cabo.
You're going. It's
Yes.
already set. Huh?
Yes.
I'm going to see my children.
Do you remember their names?
Yes, they are a big part of Midnight. But right now they're in school in Los Angeles. So.
How old are they?
8 and 5.
How many people do you actually have to bring in for production, or is there like a really, really good infrastructure here in Albuquerque already?
Jeff could speak more to that.
I would say we're bringing in some department heads, but we have some local department heads. It's really busy here in New Mexico, so once that pool gets taken, we have to bring people. But I would say we're probably 80% local.
That's great.
Yeah.
They must love that here.
We have a great crew.
Next, they'll have the midnight tour as opposed to the Breaking Bad.
In our blue RV.
And I don't know, I think we can announce this. I heard we're doing an installation at Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios.
Oh,
Gotcha.
that's interesting.
I'll be too scared to go.
Yeah, the kids might not be able to go yet, huh?
They wouldn't be scared. I'll be scared.
Can you just give us just to kind of wrap it up a good tease of what people can expect?
Yeah, what didn't you tell us that you should have told us?
Just kind of stuff you're looking forward to, specific episodes, maybe specific storylines, things like that.
I mean, I think everyone's going to really enjoy. We talked to Comic-Con briefly about the residue from Manfred's ear is a sign of something we affectionately call demon cancer, and he is not very nice to his friends in episode 1. And I think it's really scary and really fun that the bad guy is one of our own.
Actually, you mentioned something I would like you to talk about, that the Halloween, the closer episode is kind of like a bigger special or more special. What can you say about that?
The closer episode?
The closer episode.
Finale.
The finale.
Oh, gotcha. Yes. Yes. So episodes 8 and 9, it's going to be a 2-hour block. It plays like a mini movie. It's really incredible. I mean, it's insane, and there are a ton of twists and turns and jaw-dropping moments, and you aren't going to believe what happens, and just have faith that things aren't always what they seem. So it's fun. There's a ton of twists and turns and unexpected directions we take this season. So.
Okay,